Hello everyone, welcome back to SGTV. We're actually filming from home today, obviously given the current circumstances around the globe at the minute. We do feel quite lucky actually that, some of us are able to work from home. I know a lot of you guys out there, that's not the case. So we're going to be talking to a familiar face in Dave Savery again today. So Dave, so where are you talking to us from today?
From the depths of my office. Not very salubrious, I'm afraid. It's a bit of a boring background, but yes, it's so long as we're virtually keeping apart, then we ought to be safe, I think. Then.
Yeah. So are you working currently, or is it all on lockdown for you at the moment?
No, there is still some work going on at present. I'm quite fortunate. Oh, I'm coughing. Excuse me. Every time I think about coughing, it starts me from coughing. I'm quite fortunate at the moment in that I have a couple of sites I can attend to. So we just started. In fact, as a result of all this COVID bother, we had a site open up to us, which is a little domestic rewire, not too far from here. And because the builder had the rug pulled from under him on other jobs, he was able to start that one early and managed to start it last week. So we also sort of jumped in on that one, and as of this week the builder has decided to go on lockdown, so the site is empty, it's uninhabited, there's no food preparation services, nobody else working there, so I can still go there in first fix on my own. Of course, I've had to put Nigel on furlough, so he's sat out in the sun getting paid, and because I'm a sole director, I can't do that. Or at least I don't know. They're talking about changing that. I don't know if that's actually happened yet. But so I've still got somewhere I can go and quietly carry on my own. Similarly, I've got another one tomorrow. Student accommodation, electrical inspection to perform. Obviously, the students have all disappeared a few days ago. So I should be able to let myself in there and crack on with that one. There are these sort of jobs that are still going, but I've officially, as far as the website's concerned, we're on emergency call out only. I'm on emergency call out only. So if Doris at number 83 loses her power, she can still call on me to go and attend that. Yeah.
Would you have to be taking any certain precautions for those kind of call outs where you potentially go into vulnerable customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Anywhere that you're mixing with the general public or anybody else, obviously you've got to take precautions for your own protection and for theirs. So there's maintaining that 2 metre distance from each other. I've got hand sanitizer on the van. That's that Nigel actually brought in and left there. And obviously, as long as you're undertaking your diligence in hand washing and being careful which surfaces you come into contact with and that sort of thing, then hopefully it'll be all right. I've got gloves I can wear, for example. I've got a mask I can wear. Hopefully I won't get too many such call-outs, but the capability is there. And I've also said publicly that if there are any COVID-19 sites of importance that require assistance, I'm quite prepared to go out and do that at no labour charge. So if the local hospital or GP surgery or any local authority building, food banks, etc., that are critical to maintain operation at this time, need help in terms of emergency call-outs, they've lost power or the lights aren't on or whatever, and their own support staff are either hard pushed or are themselves in isolation, then I'm quite prepared to go out again with the right precautions, hopefully, and take that on.
So not all heroes wear capes. Some of them wear McDonald's hats, and
I'm not so sure that I'll get any such calls, but the offer's there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
we all have to sort of pull together at this time, don't we, and try and keep things ticking over.
Absolutely, yeah. Are you struggling in terms of actually getting any products from wholesalers, or are you finding they're all closing down now? And I suppose that could have a knock-on effect to you and others.
Yeah, obviously the wholesalers are key, really. If they shut up shop, then if I can't get the materials, that kind of scuppers me on many jobs. Not so much perhaps the emergency call-out work, which is all we're officially supposed to be doing anyway at this stage. But again, for something like the rewire site, I made sure that was stocked up before I started. and at the end of last week I made sure that we got a few reels of cable in and knockout boxes, that sort of stuff. General stuff that we can use. At the moment, the suppliers are saying that they will remain open as this is so as key suppliers to industry. They know that people like us still have to be performing a role, and they need to be around and in stock to fulfil that role. Obviously, they are taking their own precautions. So my local sales counter isn't admitting anybody into the building. You place your order via phone or via their website, and you go and pick it up and sort of wait at the door and hand it out to you. You can obviously turn up on spec, but again, they'll deal with you at the door as opposed to you coming into the building. And they will still make deliveries. I managed to do jobs on again another job, which is a building site, multi-man operation, which I've said to them that I'm not coming back at this time. You'll have to do without me. And I'm not the only one obviously on that site who said that. And the guy running the site is okay with that. But I was there on Tuesday, laying an armoured cable outside, and I managed to get my supplier to deliver that armoured off. So that was good. They were still doing their deliveries, and there are again still sites like external work where again, if you're on your own out in the fresh air, you can potentially still get on with that. And it's a case of finding these sort of jobs that are still available to help keep things ticking over. Personally, financially, the business is in quite a good situation. We can go for some time being laid off potentially before things start to get more ready.
Are you getting many jobs booked in at the moment, or are the calls sort of drying up?
Well, we had obviously a list of ongoing work before all this nonsense came into effect, and that stuff is kind of on hold, of course. It'll still be there when we finish. The phone has stopped ringing. No new inquiries are coming in, but then again, publicly we're saying on the website that we're only taking the emergency calls at this time. So most people are obviously they don't want someone coming into their house to fix the downlights or whatever, or to put in the new aesthetic bits and pieces that they want to do. And it's a case of everyone has figured that this is, we just need to sit tight for the moment. So we were all set to do a halogen to LED downlight replacement job, for example, on Tuesday morning, but because of Bojo's announcement Monday evening, we sort of phoned up the customer and said, well, look, we probably ought to postpone this, and they were of agreement. So, the clients know that.
They're understanding at least.
Yeah, non-urgent jobs need to be aside for the moment.
One thing I was, particularly wondering was, I remember during the last recession, especially, it hit the construction industry quite bad, and it was quite slow getting back off the ground again. But do you think, sort of, touch wood with everything, hopefully if it clears soon, that it's just going to hit the ground running, that we're just going to be back on, as it was, people spending, investing the way you need to get things moving again? It all depends, doesn't it, on how long it takes for you to get some kind of all clear to the situation, which it's difficult to figure. I don't really. Obviously, the whole point of the self-isolation procedure at the moment is to try and slow things down so that there's not this big hit on the NHS. But the expectation, I think, is that we're all probably going to be getting this. We don't know quite how long it's going to carry on for or what effect it's going to have. So it's not like in 2 weeks' time they're going to say, right, okay, things have settled down, we can give you the all clear, it's back to business. I think this could drag on for weeks or months, and it's hard to know without the crystal ball. I suppose no one knows at this point, do they? No, this is it. It might be that a year from now we're looking back on this going, what on earth was all that fuss about? Probably not with the amount of deaths involved, but it's one of those things that you have to sort of hope for the best but plan for the worst. Obviously, there are a lot of construction projects out there, and there's no reason to think that work won't be waiting at some stage. There'll be companies who are quite eager for work to resume as soon as possible. So it's hard to know how it'll go really, and what kind of effects it will have on the industry if a lot of people find that they haven't got quite the same job to go back to, if the company that was employing them has had to
hasn't survived the whole thing and ceased trading. Does that? I mean, you've got a knock-on effect for your customers who may no longer be in a position to order the works that they perhaps thought they were going to order at the start of the year. And by the same token, a lot of people perhaps thinking of retraining into a new industry to keep the money coming in.
You mentioned that you're in quite a comfortable position that you can lay off your workmate Nigel temporarily, with pay. But do you think, have you seen many people in the industry where they're not in that position and it is going to hit them a lot harder?
Personally, not really. Obviously, they are out there, but in our own little bubble, as Nigel and I generally do small site domestic work, we haven't come across others who are suffering at this time, but obviously they are out there. It's just we've spoken to some of our partner firms, but the expectation from them again is that that they'll get through it and it will blow over, but we just don't know when.
Do you think? The whole situation at the minute, it kind of came out the blue, so to speak, and maybe people weren't prepared for it, other people are prepared for it. But do you think that it's going to have a knock-on effect that people might be more prepared, just going forward in general, in terms of putting some aside, just in case anything like this or some other catastrophic, event unfolds and you're left in the lurch?
Perhaps. It's rather unprecedented, this event, isn't it? We've never seen anything like it before, and there have been outbreaks in the past that have never really affected our shores. Like the bird flu one was obviously a big one a few years ago. That was supposed to be the doomsday virus that finished us all, but it never really sort of happened here. So I don't know. I suppose it gets people thinking about, okay, it's happened this time, it could potentially happen again. And you always have to plan for the worst, really. You always have to have some kind of financial cushion. Because even in normal working life, when you've got a company as small as mine, where it's just really near March, all it takes is for one of us to fall off a ladder or something, and that can spell weeks of recuperation, which can obviously have a large impact on business operations. So you always have to have, if you can have it, some kind of financial cushion to potentially keep things ticking over, or some kind of insurance. Yes, while we happen to be in a fortunate position where we should survive a few weeks, obviously there are many who are perhaps not in that fortunate position.
Do you have any sort of rules you stick by to, make sure you've got a bit of a cushion to fall back on? Is there a formula you stick with or anything?
No, not really. It just happens to be the case that the company bank balance is healthy enough to see us through for a while. We're working quite hard. The work's been quite healthy, and we've not been spending lots of money on things that we shouldn't be. Yeah, it's not too bad at present, but that just happens to be the circumstances of this time. If it happened at another time, then circumstances may have been different, of course. Had it happened a few years ago, when the company bank balance was perhaps the cash flow situation was different, or the bank balance was a little different, then we might be breaking into a sweat. So it's just the circumstances of the timing, really, for us. But obviously every company has its own situation, its own problems to get through. Is
there any advice that you could give to any people out there in the industry who might not be in as a comfortable position, or who are still thinking of getting into the industry, but something like this comes along and it might dissuade you from getting into it?
Hard to say, really. Obviously for those who are already in this position, it's a case of trying to keep your head above water, I suppose, isn't it? And they'll be doing the same thing that I'm doing. They'll be looking for the work that they can take on safely and continuing to do that, to try and bring some money in. Obviously the government are offering financial incentives to prevent you from laying off workers. Hopefully there'll be swift decline and will come through without too much red tape. So we'll just have to see how that all pans out. As far as coming into the industry, there are, as I understand it, changes happening in the way people come into the industry anyway, from rumours I've heard, which may make it a little more difficult. I know from my last NRC assessments recently, they were saying about how they want to see MBQs, sort of domestic installer courses, might not be enough. Now, I don't know enough about it, I haven't got enough detail about it, but it may mean that it's more challenging to get into the industry than it was a few years ago going forward anyway. But this sort of thing, it's from Warwickshire College on level 2, one on level 3. What happens to them, for example, they were hoping to complete their college courses and to then go looking for apprenticeships. Now they're in a position where I presume there's some kind of online learning for them, but obviously it means that they can no longer continue their work experience program with us. So they're building up their hours on the van with us. That's come to a stop. So I don't know how it affects them, how it affects the intake. It's the same with my daughter who's doing the GCSEs this year. It now looks like she won't be doing any exams, or they won't predict the grades or something like that. We still don't quite know for sure exactly what it's going to do for her, but she's desperate to finish school and get out to college. So for the people who are in the pipeline, who are trying to get their courses finished so that they can take that step into getting out of the industry, obviously it's now a major problem, because they may not be able to get to finish their courses, and they may find that the apprenticeship options that are out there, the job opportunities that are out there, are certainly on hold now, and there may be this knock-on effect whereby months down the line they're still on hold, or there are fewer of them to be had. Hard to know, isn't it? By the same token, it might all blow over in a few months and everything might bounce back in a really big way, and we might find that there's all sorts of...
We can only hope so, I suppose, can't we?
Yeah, this is it. We simply don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the situation for like everyone in whatever industry you're in. No one really knows exactly what's going on, how long it's going to last, or what effects it's going to have. So, you know, people like you who are in the industry, it's invaluable help for anyone out there, you know. And, you know, we appreciate you coming on the show and, you know, speaking to us about it. I know it's not ideal with me at home with this fantastic background and, you know, but, yeah, it's good to have you on the show, Dave, and we appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Dan, old chap.
Yeah.
Hope you and your colleagues there get through it and don't have any issues with the thing in terms of business and your own health, of course. I'm sure you're looking after yourselves.
Exactly. One thing I am concerned about, though, is I can't see any alcohol in your studio there, which we usually see, like a martini glass or something.
Don't worry, son, I got it well covered over here. Behind me as well.
Right then. So anyone out there who has any questions or uncertainties, you know, please do get in contact, and we'll do our best to find some answers, or at least find people who do have the answers. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Dave, and we'll see you all next time.